your patience. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Business Resilience Now. And of course, we've been talking about the fact, over the last several weeks, actually since about the middle of March, when, the pandemic, I guess you could say in a lot of ways, or at least we became aware of its existence in North America. And of course, we've seen a lot of measures put in place to keep us safe. But of course, those measures have had an impact on the economy. I think we would all agree with that. When you think about COVID, you think about a couple of things. One, you think, obviously a lot of, challenges from a physical health perspective, but also, you'd be remiss if you didn't think about the mental health impact and also, the economic impact. And so really, COVID-19 has changed our world, but like every change, not all change needs to be bad, right? A lot of the time when we experience trauma, what we do with that trauma and how we process that change has a major impact upon our lives. And I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like it's time for some hope. I think, I've heard enough of the doom and gloom. It's not to say, that I want to avoid the truth. But I think that when we have a positive outlook, it actually gives us a much better sense of how to handle the difficult truths that we have to work through. And, I think it's also time, and we're seeing this with government, certainly in different parts of the world, to think about how to safely reopen. And, the key word there, I think, is safety. I don't think the key word is reopen. I don't want to see us reopen at all costs, but I think there's a way to do it so that we protect ourselves and we protect the people around us. And so, as we've been kind of working that through, we've had so many different business owners, executives, entrepreneurs who've been on Business Resilience Now, because as you know, I really am a big believer in the idea of conversations. Conversations are so critical for finding truth. I think one of the challenges in social media is, it's really easy to throw together a post that has maybe a paragraph worth of writing or even less and think we've solved a problem when most problems or challenges are a lot more complex than that. So we've been having these longer interviews because it gives us an opportunity to really drill in and tap into people's areas of expertise. And so, I'm really excited today to have with us Dr. Angel Bhathal. Dr. Angel is number one, you look too young to be a doctor for sure, but you know what, that's a good thing, right? Because it sounds like you made your decisions early and are now enjoying the fruit of them. But Dr. Angel is currently a senior director of pharmacy in global standards technology and has held lots of past leadership roles as a pharmacy manager, director of pharmacy operations, and an education chair for the Canadian Society of Hospital Pharmacists of Manitoba. And she completed her post-professional Doctor of Pharmacy at the University of Alberta and Bachelor of Pharmacy at the University of Manitoba. And she's a licensed pharmacist. And, Angel has held lots of roles like guest lecturer, pharmacology instructor, pharmacy examining board assessor. That's pretty cool. And published author for her research in veterinary pharmacy. I also really like this about you, Angel, because it really speaks to diversity and sort of a multitude of interests. Angel has also founded her own business. So she's an entrepreneur, and it's called Pageant Coach Canada, where she provides mentorship, training, and coaching to help prepare young women in Canada to model leadership, altruism, confidence, and authenticity while competing in pageantry. And so that's awesome. Welcome, Angel. We're so happy to have you today.
Well, thanks so much for the warm welcome, Abe. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, now Angel and I, we met when we had Angel on another webinar that I do with Wellness Innovate. And, at that time, that was really the start of at least the Canadian version of the pandemic. And, you're in healthcare. And so, wow, you must have just watched this whole thing and been a part of it from a unique perspective. What are a couple of the things that you've noticed as, sort of collectively we've gone through this pandemic together?
It's so interesting because I remember we literally had our webinar right when it just all started, and just to even see some of the changes in terms of how the agility of not only in terms of leadership or governments, but also as in businesses. Everybody's been very agile, and I'm pretty impressed. And in addition to that, I think that initially we were in the phases of uncertainty. We were in the phases of there were concerns for mental health, and there's still those concerns on the table. But I think that we've really been able to push forward through the phases of initially being uncertain, not knowing, and now we're in a position where we're in a phased approach nationally, especially all over Canada. We have our provinces moving forward to different phases, so that has been definitely a positive from the first time that we actually spoke. So we could see some progress that's already happening, not in terms of only healthcare, but also in terms of the business world as well. A lot of our facilities, a lot of our different establishments are reopening. So it is exciting to see all the safety measures that are being taken in place.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's good, right? Because I mean, you're a pharmacist, and so you understand vaccines a lot more than I do. And I mean, people have this idea that when that occurs, everything's going to be solved. But my understanding with even the flu vaccine is that there's an evolution from year to year based on what's going on. And so I'm hopeful that they find one cure-all, but they might not. And if they do, it may still need to be adjusted each year. So I think part of it is, how do we learn to live within this sort of, I hate the term new normal, because it's one of these overused things, but there's a reality to the fact that we may have to figure that out.
Absolutely. And I think that we are doing what we can do, even given the situation where we don't have a vaccine right now, and we do have safety measures still in place. And so I think that, as a global initiative, we're still going to be adjusting for that until we do obtain a vaccine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we have to, right? And you know what? I mean, a lot of these sort of safety measures likely are probably good anyways, around, regular hand washing, making sure that you maintain a safe distance and things like that. I mean, I can't see a lot of bad that comes out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Most
so tell us, I mean, so you, like, your career, like maybe tell us the story on you in a sense. And I know that's always a tough question to answer, but I mean, how did you get to kind of where you are? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, initially, I've always had a passion for leadership, for business development. And so that rooted really early on. So probably I was still a university student, and I worked for an experiential marketing company, Mosaic Sales Solutions. So they have several big brands and clients such as Rogers, Procter and Gamble. And that's where I initially started my people management skills. And I managed employees across central Canada, and I fell in love with leading and mentoring others. And so from that, I became a student in pharmacy, and I still had my passion for leadership throughout my time in pharmacy school. And it wasn't until I graduated where shortly after, a year later, I became a pharmacy manager, and I was able to apply some of that leadership that I had discovered early on when I had my earlier career in marketing when I was still an undergrad student. And from that, from pharmacy management, I transitioned to directorship, and from directorship, I transitioned into senior directorship. So for me, it's really been a bit of recognizing what is really something that I'm interested in. And I think that each and every one of us, whether, we do have pharmacy professionals that are fully interested in just being clinicians. However, for me, I've always loved diversity in terms of being a clinician, but also being a leader, a mentor. And then, as you mentioned on the side, I do have my own business. So I am a pageant coach, and providing that mentorship, whether it's in an academic situation or in a training situation corporately, and in a work environment or in a pageant. I think mentorship is always something that is provides so much satisfaction to leaders.
I just love that. And I mean, what an amazing background when you think about yourself and your growth and development. So you competed in some pageants, I'm assuming. What were some of the pageants that you've competed in over the years?
So I started initially as a teen,
Okay.
and then from that, I started with the Ms. division. So I did Miss World Canada. I was a top 12 finalist for that. I was a quarter finalist for Miss Universe Canada, and I was second runner-up for Miss Earth Canada, and then I was Miss Galaxy Canada. I went on to compete internationally, and I got second runner-up for that. And so by
Wow.
doing all these pageants, you start to learn about each and every system, and you learn how there's some similarities, but there also are some differences. So because I had this firsthand experience of competing in all these pageants, I really wanted to give back to young competitors in Canada and provide them with the skills that I learned over experience. And sometimes when it's a first-time competitor, they might not be necessarily prepared. There's no real Cole's notes on how to compete in a pageant. So having a coach is definitely an asset to ensuring that you are successful in your competition.
No, and I just love that because I mean I'm sure this is not going to be a surprise. I've never competed in a pageant except for once. That was the Snow King Snow Queen pageant in high school.
Aww.
I lost, by the way, but you know, I think that people have this perception with pageants, right? That, you know, it's like beauty contest or something, and yet, you know, when I've sat and talked to people who, like yourself, have been involved in it, I mean, it to me, it's so much more than that. It sounds like it has a lot to do with finding yourself, building your confidence, really understanding, you know, your own values, and trying to think about how you can make the world a better place. And so tell us a little bit about that side of pageantry, because I think that that's really important to notice,
Mhm.
right?
Thank you for also bringing that up. I think that's a part of pageantry that often gets missed. There are so many stereotypes, but pageantry really is so powerful. You could do so much with it. And I think the first part of it is just really self-discovery, discovering yourself, reflecting on yourself, your life experiences, and being the most authentic version of who you are, and being able to find a purpose behind what your drive is from doing pageantry, or what your drive is just in life in general. And so one of the parts that I really coach girls on is to find their purpose and their platform, their mission. And a lot of that is, it's not about finding, you know, a catchy tagline. It's about finding something that's really personal to them, that they have maybe had a lived experience, and now they're in a position to be a hero and to help somebody else overcome a challenge in their life that can also relate. So even just seeing all the charitable work and the philanthropic work that you can do as a title holder or as a competitor, it is amazing what you can do for your community. And from those skill sets, you can apply that to almost any area of your life outside of pageantry, personal life, your professional life. I think that the skills that you develop from networking, the skills that you develop from communication, from being able to be a team player in your community, and being able to have leadership to drive initiatives and make change, whether it's through fundraising, whether it's through advocacy, I think it's truly powerful, and it's incredible what a pageant competitor truly can do.
I just love that, you know, and I think, you know, to me, I mean, and I mean, you know, here we are, it's, you know, a little bit of social commentary, but not in a bad way. I just think for, you know, I have a 20-year-old son, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I have a 5-year-old daughter. And, you know, I know that when we were growing up that there were challenges, but I think for kids today, I think it's more difficult. I think that, you know, that needs to be at least the starting point, because not because they don't have access, but perhaps they have too much access, and some of what that information access isn't always giving them positive messages. And I'm sure that that's always been the case, but now it's thousands of times a day, rather than maybe when, at least when I was growing up, it was, you know, if you saw the TV or the newspaper, right? And so, you know, what are you seeing with young people today? I mean, both boys and girls, and young women and young men. What are some of the challenges that you feel like, you know, we really need to know about and understand a little better?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that having social media so present in their lives is definitely a big factor to that. Having, you know, having situations where the youth are feeling that they need to compare themselves to others. But I think that with social media, there's also positives behind it as well. It's also developing more informed, knowledgeable youth, even just being so impressed by how much information is being shared, and how such a young population could be so knowledgeable and so aware of what's going on in the world through social media. But I think with that being said, I think it's really important that we develop, you know, opportunities to be mentors to these young people, and to really build people that are strong inside out, not based on outside inwards. And I think that through, you know, a lot of these visual social medias, you're seeing more of the external surfaces, and you're not seeing deep down the, you know, you're not seeing more so the self-love, the ability to be confident inside and to be your authentic self. I think that that gets a little bit challenging through a lot of the medias that the younger people are using, but it is definitely possible. And I do see, on social media, I do see some positive messages from people in terms of them, whether they're being positive role models to that body diversity, or just anything that's a form of self-acceptance. I think that's so important and so key right now, and I think that young people are starting to acknowledge the power of those types of leaders out there for themselves, because there's a need for them.
No, I couldn't agree more. And so, kudos to you for the work that you're doing, and, just helping people to have a safe place, young people to sort out all of this, sometimes conflicting messages. But in the middle of that, if I'm taught that I've got my core and I've got my center, and then I need to spend some time, with myself and other healthy people to sort that out, I think that the future is pretty bright. And so, so then tell me, you're connected, you're in community. I mean, people know you, people. What are you noticing with COVID, and sort of now as we start to slowly reopen? What are some of the challenges that business owners and business leaders that you have encountered? What are they facing?
I think with the healthcare sector, the healthcare sector never quite shut down. If anything, they just got busier than they already were. However, we are noticing a lot of community, just teamwork and support. Even when we look at some of the tier 3 scheduled drug shortages from that Health Canada had issued, the fact that Health Canada was able to provide those notices, and I think that's really key for us to be very informed as healthcare professionals of what is short during this pandemic. When we even look at outside of healthcare, though, just to see all the safety precautions that have been implemented, whether we're in retail, grocery, or hospitality, we could see the measures of social distancing. We could see the measures of the masks being implemented here in Toronto, and in additionally the use of the sanitation stations that are right up in front before even entering establishment. I think that that's definitely helped. And in addition, it's helped our economy as well to be reopening as well. So we're definitely moving towards progress, and I think that's very exciting for us. But we're also going through a phased approach, which I think is very key here, because we're being agile to, if there are any changes, if there is a second wave, we're being very careful and cautious, and I think that is equally important as well.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you want to have a return to normalcy, or whatever that looks like, but we need to keep safety first. And I think, you mentioned something earlier, which I also think is so important, and that is we know much more information than we did when you and I first spoke. And that was, like mid to late March, I think that would have been. And, as governments and even health leaders have acknowledged, that the knowledge base is so much wider now. And I think that helps us to be more intelligent with the safety measures. And I think that you're speaking to that, which is wonderful. So, you've accomplished a lot. And so what has been one of your biggest challenges over the years? I mean, we all have our adversity, our challenge that we have to get through. What has been one of yours?
I think one of the biggest challenges is just always wanting more challenges, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think that, it's very important, though, to have challenges, because that's what helps you grow as a professional, helps grows you as an individual as well. Throughout the years, I've always just wanted to continue to progress. And so even just the aspect of being a full-time pharmacy manager, taking students, but also completing my doctorate in pharmacy at the same time, doing a lot of those different accountabilities for myself, but to do them and to effectively manage my time and to prioritize them. It was definitely something that was challenging to be able to juggle a bunch of different hats, but it's definitely rewarding too. And it's enhanced my skill set. It's given me a wide range of experiences in terms of professional experiences. And, I think sometimes it's just, you have to go through that adversity. You have to go through change, whether it's, you're progressing yourself as a professional or you're going through a pandemic. You just have to be very open for change and to challenge yourself, because that's really where true growth really lies.
I just love that. And I just think it's so cool. And so, with what you've gone through, and the idea of navigating change, what are your thoughts about, how somebody can do that? I mean, if somebody's on this call today and they're going through a time of change, and often change has a lot of trauma connected to it, what's some advice that you might offer them here today?
Yeah, I think change definitely is something that you don't know necessarily if it's going to bring success right away or if it's going to bring failure. But at the end of the day, if you look at change as being a really important part to learning, regardless of the outcome or the result, and you have that open mind, you still will be, really in a win-win situation. So for me, I've actually made so many changes in my career. Even I shifted from retail pharmacy to hospital pharmacy. I went back to school to become a student again after working several years as a professional. I moved provinces. I had a license in Manitoba, had a license in Alberta, and so all of these environments were very different. And there's different regulations in different jurisdictions, and so you have to be really open. And I think being open allows you to learn and to really continue to grow. And so I think the one piece of advice I would give you is in terms of being able to adapt to change is being open to the growth and being also open to the outcome being positive or negative, and recognizing that you're still getting growth out of that.
I just love that, right? And I mean, it does have a lot to do with that mindset. And sometimes it's not the mindset that says, I've got this all figured out, but it's the mindset that I'm willing to embrace what I'm about to go through. And sometimes I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I have trust and faith in myself that I can get through this, right? And it sounds like you definitely have that going for you, uh, and so I think that's such a great thing, about you. So to accomplish everything you've accomplished, I mean, doctorate and, obviously excelling in your career and in pageantry, I'm going to suggest that discipline was a part of the package, or at least some level of kind of habits. What were some of the habits or maybe daily rituals and practices that have helped you the most? I mean, one thing I've absolutely discovered about high performers is they've all got some sort of daily ritual routine, some sort of pattern. And it's different for all of them, but, I'd love to hear a little bit about yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Discipline's a huge one, but I think that the most important one of them all is really and this might sound a little bit cliche and cheesy, but really believe in yourself. That's the biggest and the most important part of it, is that regardless of what you're trying to achieve and overcome, you need to be able to believe that you are capable of achieving that. And if you don't believe in it, there's a likelihood that you won't be able to achieve it. So I think the first and foremost part is believing that you can achieve what you set as one of your accountabilities or objectives or goals.
No, I just love that. And boy, isn't that the truth, right? And believing yourself is, believing in yourself is one of those things that can come and go, right? I mean, if I performed really good, if I get a lot of likes on my thing, or if I get a lot of followers or whatever, then I'm feeling good. But what if I'm not getting that? So what advice could you offer someone? Because I mean, again, you're working with a lot of these young girls. There must have
Mm,
been some of them who have wrestled with, like believing in themselves, especially when
absolutely.
you're competing against very high level people. So what are your thoughts about that?
And that is something that is so real and so true. Many girls do experience bullying that, even that I've coached, that they've shared that with myself. And then even when I reflect on some of my own personal experiences, you've had situations where you've been doubted externally by others, but you have to recognize that those opinions are not what are going to dictate your outcomes. And it's really up to you to believe them or to believe in yourself, and to, invest in yourself into being able to achieve what you need to do. And I think so regardless of what anything external is going on, you can't control external things. You can't control external perspectives, but you can control yourself. You can control your own thoughts. You can control your ability to manifest what it is you can accomplish. And I think without that, you aren't going to fully reach your full potential for success, whether it's in a business, whether it's academically, whether it's in a pageant. Being able to believe in yourself and being able to manifest in exactly what you want is really key to success.
I just love that, and it's so true. So you're definitely a person who has a lot to offer. I mean, if somebody was on this call today and they said, "I'd like to connect with her, maybe find out more about her coaching for pageants." I mean, I've shared your Instagram, but what is the best way to connect? Would it be through Instagram, or how can somebody get more information about you?
Sure. So, I mean, in terms of coaching, what a lot of the part of it is that I do develop the client's confidence. So sometimes girls are not very confident about what they bring to the table. I'll get more information about themselves, and then I will market them, and I'll help them realize how amazing they are. And I think that's really important, is to recognize, I think having almost your own cheerleader, and that's really what a coach can do for you, right? And I think having democratic coaching style is really important, because what it does is you're not telling them what to do, you're not being too easy either, but you're also facilitating them to bring out the best and being a part of the shared decision making of improving themselves. It's not really just what a coach says, it's also hearing what they think as well, and hearing their perspective and what their beliefs are. And it's really just marrying the two to really help to allow these young women to be their most authentic version of themselves, and to really look back at some of their accomplishment. Because I think sometimes when we look at ourselves, we can be our harshest critics, and we sometimes don't give ourselves the recognition of everything that we achieved. And I think for that reason, having a coach is really key, is because they keep us in check too. When our confidence is dropping, they remind us how fabulous and amazing we really are.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that everyone who wants, I mean, if you're on this call today, or you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook Live, let me just tell you, you are amazing as you are. There's no doubt about it. But with a coach, right, it's just awesome how much the greatness in you will have a chance to expose itself. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think probably the biggest is, at least in my life, is I have this nasty habit of getting in my own way, and I stumble over myself. I trip over myself. I sometimes do the things I don't want to do, or I don't do the things that I'm telling myself I want to do. And having some accountability, but also some encouragement is so important. And so you do work one-on-one with folks in terms of coaching, and that's a part of what you're offering to people in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to it. It's much more than just that one-on-one coaching, but it's also their ability to also invest in themselves, to do gratitude journals, to make lists of what really makes them unique and what they're most proud of. And in addition to that, it's also a lot of it is as well as verbal and nonverbal communication skills too. We do a lot of work on that, because as pageant competitors, you are a public figure. You do have to provide your services to the community. You do a lot of public speaking. You interview judges. You answer on-stage question and answers for sometimes often political and controversial topics as well. So being able to be agile to really any type of question, and to be able to answer it with ethics and the appropriate relevant content is so key. So a lot of the coaching also focuses on communication skills, as well as non-verbal communication skills, whether it's facial expressions, whether it's just in terms of the way they carry themselves while they're communicating as well.
I just love that. And it is so true, isn't it? Right. And, I find today that the skills of being able to present yourself is so important, and that, might be in a pageant. It might be taking a stage to give a speech. It could be even showing up on a Zoom call. But I think it's one of those things that people still need to learn. And so thanks for the work that you're doing. And so if you're on this call today, folks, and you're thinking about having some of these things in place in your life that we talked about with Angel, please do follow her on Instagram. And what I'm going to do is throw her Instagram handle up on the screen, and you can see it in just a moment, Angel, and let me know if it looks accurate. And
Sure.
then also, if you want to drop it into the chat window, but I think it's just Angel Bhathal, right, at
Yes.
Angel Bhathal in Instagram there.
I also have my pageant Instagram as well, and that's Pageant Coach Canada. And that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. So maybe Cynthia, we can enter that in the chat window, Pageant Coach Canada. And that sounds awesome. So we'll make sure we follow you there. And then, of course, people can reach out to you there. So that's Pageant Coach Canada. Sounds excellent. I hope I spelt it right. Maybe I didn't. Nope, I didn't.
I wrote it. So.
Okay. She wrote it. You wrote it. All right. So then that's good. All right. So follow what Angel said, not what I said. Oh, she said it on There we go. Let me just type it in there. Perfect. Okay. That way we can make sure we follow you. So, honestly, I'm so grateful that you've been our guest here today. And, just want to just mention a couple of things. I think that people are wondering, where do we go from here? How do we rebuild businesses? And I think we've talked about it, and some of you may not have like a big business, and that's totally fine because everybody out there is running their own race and everybody out there is following their own dreams and their own passions. I do really believe it's time for hope. I think, what I've discovered, I can't tell you the number of business owners I've talked to in the last couple of weeks who have said, at first COVID rocked my world and the lockdowns, but now I've actually been having some of the best months I've ever had in my life. And I think that is really important. I think that idea of hope and reopening is also about this idea of engaging and building our dreams. And so, I just really encourage you to reach out to Angel on Instagram. You can always reach out to us with a support call. And that we'll always be there for you without a doubt. I think, for those of you who are coaches out there or entrepreneurs or people who are looking to build a side hustle in the gig economy, for sure, the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise coaching program is a profoundly intelligent option for you. So check that out. And I'm happy to announce that next week we have a very special guest, and her name is Christina Botello, and I've actually known Christina for about a decade as well. Seems like I guess I just know people. Christina is an absolute success story. She is an Indigenous businesswoman in Edmonton who has absolutely crushed it. She has opened up an organic, plant-based, conscious, casual eatery is what she calls it. And that was about 4 years ago. And since then, she has now spread to 4 different locations. They've opened up in Kelowna, they've opened up in St. Albert, they've opened up in Calgary. And Christina is the gal who's behind it. And believe me, she's going to be sharing some amazing things. So make sure you tune in for that next week. And just before we go, Angel, any final words to our guests and our audience here today?
Yeah, I think that this is, as much as this is a difficult time, I want everybody to remember that you are fully capable to achieve anything. And through trying in difficult times, sometimes those times of chaos are when the best business ideas are formed. And so just to really recognize that, and even thinking about the fact that many businesses have been able to transform into fully remote and digital, and businesses are actually in some senses are able to now tap into a brand new stream, right, with delivery and logistics and online services. And so a lot of my coaching, instead of doing in-person sessions, I do all of them remotely. And so I think it's just a great time to really believe in everything that you're capable of doing. And even though there's chaos, just to make sure that you remember that you can make it through this.
I just love that, right? In the midst of the chaos, right? We're going to get through it. So thank you so much, Dr. Angel Bhathal. What an honor to have you again with us. And please do stay in touch. And thanks, everybody. Please. And actually, one quick correction. We're not going to be getting together next week. But we will be on the week after that. So that's just, we're going to not have an episode next week, July 23rd, but we will be on July 30th. So we're giving you a week off. So go and enjoy the summer. So thanks, everybody. And thank you, Angel, again. And
My pleasure.
Please stay in touch. Take care.
Will do. Take care. Bye, everyone.